Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Toffee TV. Welcome to the Everton Daily Live. Listen, before we begin, we've got some sad news for us personally. Alan Williams, who was a Premier member and later became a friend, and the gentleman who designed our website and, you know, has done lots and lots for us, sadly passed away. And it's yeah, really, really sad news for us, and just wanted to say a quick, just let his family know, his wife Blanche and his two children, Matt and Amy, that we are thinking of them today. Awful news. Alan was absolutely lovely fella. He come to a couple of our Premier nights. Was a good laugh. Big Everton, massive Evertonian. Loved it. Worried about Everton the same as we did. He told us recently that he was unwell, and this has come as a big shock to us. And like I said, thoughts and prayers are with his family right now at this horrible time. And yeah, no, not really. Don't really know what else to say. But
thank you as well for all the work he done for us. He didn't have to. He done so much work for us, and he was a big help and we've had loads of people part of the journey who'd never necessarily had to help us to get to where we are, and he was a huge help. And
redesigned our logo, of course,
yeah,
as
absolutely.
Well. Done all of that, and
he was a proper, really, really nice fella. Travelled a long way just to come and meet us and stuff. So, and he was always a dead nice fella.
No, that's more. All the other stuff is incidental. He was very good at what he did. That's incidental. Course, the biggest thing was he was a lovely man. And yeah, thoughts and prayers are with his family at this extremely difficult time. Right, football. Everton takeover. Where are we up to? There's reports that Crystal Palace owner or part owner or John Textor is out of the running to buy Everton. He is the one that really, came out, went public, talked about what a good opportunity or what a great opportunity it would be to get hold of Everton. The problem with that was he owned 45% of Crystal Palace, and therefore right now it's been difficult for him to sign any kind of deal sheet because he's committed to Crystal Palace.
Yeah, there was stuff maybe around MSP after the deadline of 777, 777, and people were just like, But I think that was the first one, because he came out and publicly said it, that it was like, okay, there obviously is interest. People are recognising that we are a sleeping giant, that there is huge potential, that we have got this brand new spanking new stadium, and it's going to be amazing. One thing I really don't want to happen is that this becomes a long process like 777 was. And with the John Textor thing, I can see it being a really long process, because like I said yesterday, and I'll say it again if you didn't hear me, he owns 45% of Crystal Palace. He has to sell all those shares, and whoever buys them is knowing that the reason he's selling them and they'll be in the same boat is because they own so much of a football club and they have absolutely no influence. They don't run the club and they have no say on anything whatsoever. They just own a lot of it. That's not a really exciting sellable point. So if you're going to buy that many shares in a football club, you may as well buy a few more and buy them at Everton, because they've got a brand new spanking stadium being built and they're a sleeping giant and all that stuff. So I just think it was an unlikely thing, but we did need someone to come out and say all this, maybe to spark a few others coming out and going, yeah, I'm interested in too. Maybe they're there all along. It's just interesting that it had to wait until 777 was, going to fall through. Maybe people realised that it was never really going to happen.
See, when people say that, it does make me laugh when people say it was never going to happen, because if the Premier League would have approved. Don't forget,
but they didn't approve it, though.
No, they didn't approve it, because at first it was a vindictive side of the Premier League that didn't approve it. Kept asking for other stuff. There was an opportunity at one stage for it to be approved at the end of January, and it didn't happen.
It was close.
And everyone was told.
Yeah.
Well, everyone was told it was happening in the next day, and nothing changed from there. So luckily,
I remember you having a bet with me the next day.
Luckily,
I bet you it won't.
Luckily for us, it didn't. Luckily for us, Richard Masters had the cop on, and it got put back to the bottom of the pile, and then the more scrutiny, because otherwise we'd be right in a worse position right now, wouldn't we? But I think from where we are now, I agree with you. It can't be something that drags on and on and on and on.
No.
It has to be. It has to be for the good of the club, and I know a lot of people are doubting Farhad Moshiri where that's concerned. That he'd do it for the good of the club, but that's what we've got to hope anyway. Whether he hasn't or he hasn't, then hopefully he'll do his best for Everton Football Club as well. So let's hope that he makes the right decision. When you're looking at where we're up to with it, we can only go as quickly as far as, I guess, can't we? But right now he's considering all the formal offers. I know people try to pour scorn on other ones and talk about the legitimacy of offers and believe that different things, but we can only go by what's being reported, and that, Farhad Moshiri is weighing up 4 or 5 bids apparently. So we'll see. Tech billionaire, Michael Dell, along with Andy Bell and George Downing. Theirs was in early. Vach Manukian, his bid's in there. He's backed by people from the Middle East and US investors. MSP is still in there, obviously monitoring what's going on. They've got money in the business and want to try to protect that. And obviously ACAP are chasing down the £200 million that it may be lent 777. And we've got Dan Friedkin, the US billionaire who owned the president of Roma, of course, who is very, very interested in it as well.
What is your thoughts on Everton becoming part of a multi-football club ownership model? Are you in? Are you fully in? Because I look at it and go, there's not a huge amount of successful multi-club models. I look at Red Bull. I'd have been loved to have been part of that 10 years ago. And there's talk
they're
that
buying
Leeds,
aren't they?
Leeds are going to be part of that.
Well, they bought a minority stake in
They're
it.
not going to be RB Leeds, but you never know what that could lead into. But there's that idea is out the window of having a stake in Leeds. But what is your thoughts of Everton being part of a multi-club model?
Well, the biggest club, the most successful club in England at the moment, certainly not the biggest, is part of a multi-group club group, isn't it? I think the principle of it is sound enough. You share stats and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know is the reality. I would rather someone just want to make Everton great again and put Everton at the top, and all their efforts were on Everton, of course. But I wouldn't be totally against it. I mean, do I agree it should be a thing in the first place? No, probably not. Nobody should probably own more than one football club, really. But it is a thing, and other clubs are trying to do it. Liverpool have got Michael Edwards working on making them a multi-club group. FSG, one other clubs. They're trying to buy other clubs. We know that Chelsea have got affiliated clubs and clubs they use. City are the most high-profile one with everyone. They've got RB, like you've just said, Leipzig, Salzburg. They've got them. Leeds, they're in now. So they're 777 themselves had a hand in clubs, leave it at that, and have still, and that's the way it is. They're out there available. Brentford are part of it. So you can talk about it. Brighton own another club, don't they, in Belgium? So a lot of clubs do it. So I wouldn't necessarily be against it, but I'd probably, if I could handpick something, want someone who just wants to put all their efforts into Everton.
Yeah.
But I'm open to anything, Ned, as long as there's a real plan, as long as there's a structure to take Everton Football Club forward. You know, everything on the table. Everything is on the table. And if that is a multi-club thing that it ends up being, then so be it.
Yeah, it's almost like we kind of just need... I think anybody who comes in now would even with a bit of experience, not necessarily in football, but in business, it would feel like a breath of fresh air because, you know, we haven't even had a board for 11 months. We get someone in who just understands structure and implementing a philosophy, and just allows people to do jobs and goes and, you know, find someone to delegate those said jobs to, whether it's a new director of football or a new manager or a new head scout or a new CEO, whatever. I just think it's what we've been missing for a few years is real structure. Because even when we've had these people in jobs and positions, it doesn't feel like they've really stuck to those jobs, and there's been a real structure and delegation. It always seems like there's been a bit of a mess or conflict in the boardroom. So I think anybody who comes in, as long as they've got the right ideas and they know exactly where they want to get Everton to, and they actually want to get Everton somewhere, it's not about just the financial assets. Then I think we'll be open to. I think Everton fans will most genuinely be open to anything, because they're gonna have money to buy us anyway, aren't they? No one with no money's gonna buy a club with, you know, the debt that we have. So.
Paul says, hi boys, hope you both well. I hope it isn't a drawn-out process to sell the club. We need to improve on the pitch. Let's face it, that's what we need. Well, we do. We do need to improve on the pitch, absolutely. A few people are asking who passed away. It was Alan Williams, who was a Premier member. He'd also designed our website with Luna Brandon, and he was a good friend of ours. Sadly, he's passed away. Skin obsessed. No, we haven't heard any updates on either Kevin Campbell or Alan Hansen. Both seriously ill in hospital. We wishing both of those people, two really good guys, a speedy recovery, and our thoughts are with their families as well, who are obviously going through very difficult times at the moment. KC says it's only worth being involved in a multi-club format if you are the apex club, otherwise we'd be a feeder club. Same as Ken says, exactly the same. Gavin says regarding the takeover, the Dell deal appeals, but is it really any different to Dell just lending money to clubs? Well, no, not really, according to reports. The other day there was rumours that Michael Dell wanted to get in himself and be part of it, and that might still be the case. There's different ways you can do that. He doesn't have to own the club. There's different ways you can do that, and if George Downing and Andy Bell have got access to that kind of backing, financial clout, then brilliant. But I'm not sure whether that is it at the moment, because we don't know any details about all of them, do we? Manukian, he's got big investors there. He doesn't want to leverage any debt against the club. This is all equity. I don't know. Would he be good? I don't know. The reality is we don't know, do we? We can only go with what we're being told. Right now we're being told Farhad Moshiri's got a decision to make. There's other people involved, and we'll see where we end up with it. You know, like we say, it was great with, you know, Texter coming out saying all that stuff about making Everton one of the best again and all that, but he's reportedly out at the moment, although some people are now within the game aren't convinced that that's the case. It's just they're unable to agree at a deal at the moment. Now, whether that's because of, you know, he might have said to Moshiri, I'll do it, but sign an agreement with me while I try to get out of this. And Farhad Moshiri might be saying no, because if you can't get out of that deal, we're all stuck, and he can't sign it, and that's why that hasn't gone through. So
whatever happens, the thing is, we don't know. And we didn't even know for sure with 777 what they would have been like as Everton owners. We had an idea of what they are like as a company. So ultimately, it is probably up to the best deal that Moshiri can make. He'll know probably better than us from meeting them what kind of people they are like. And this is why probably the Fab were right by asking these potential owners to come out and communicate with us, so we have a better idea. Whatever the circumstance is, it needs to be done quickly, because we've got, we moved to a new stadium next year, so planning needs to start being made for that. We need to start heading in the right direction. If we're still stuck in limbo right up until we move with no real board, then we're just going to end up not exploiting the stadium move or getting the most out of it, and trying to move forward as quickly as possible. And to do that, we probably need to look how massively Newcastle jumped with the new ownership. Everything was like wiped clean, breath of fresh air, new manager, new upgrades around the training facility, which stuff like that. It didn't sound like a lot, but it raises your standards, and they had pretty much half the same team, and it's elevated them so much. So I don't see why that can't happen to us, and we need it now rather than later because of the stadium move.
KC says, be great if Dell comes in. I wouldn't mind Everton playing at home in the Intel Pentium 4 processing stadium.
Yeah, paid 500 million for the naming rights.
Yeah, absolutely. Ralphinho says the only bid I'm not too pleased with is the Saudi one. Feels like it goes against everything the People's Club stands for. But he'd only be a minority investor, and we don't know who it is, do we? That'd just be part of a group, so we don't know whether other investment groups are involved and people who are in the Middle East, do we? So I'm not, I wouldn't be excluding anything at the moment.
I'm not going to get into any of that, into the ethics of anything when I don't quite know.
No, we don't know who's the doing
details, what. But I also, if those details do come around, and I don't have a problem with people's opinions on it.
No, people don't like it. That's
I had an opinion on Newcastle's
Everyone's got their own, yeah. Jay Machiavelli says, why would somebody buy now and take on the debt? Everton's commercial income and global reputation doesn't justify acquiring debt. Well, because most clubs are in debt, Jay, which is why would someone buy Manchester United when they're 1.4 billion in debt? Most clubs are in debt. That's the way it is. Liverpool are 300 odd million in debt to FSG. Brighton are 400 million in debt to Tony Bloom. Now, these people are probably never going to take that money back, Bloom gets a payment, doesn't he? FSG have got equity in it, so we'll see, but that's what they owe Liverpool Football Club owed them. Farhad Moshiri will be writing off his 450 odd million off it. So Everton's debt will come down to 777, MSP. Rights and Media Fund, which people keep quoting us, the debt is basically payday loans. 12 or 11 Premier League clubs use them, I think. Maybe not as much as Everton, I don't know. The idea, and I think George Downing and Andy Bell, it's out there that they're going to try to, everyone will do this, but it's out there that they want to do it, is restructure that debt and then start paying those creditors back. And Everton own a new stadium soon that is worth at least £1 billion, apparently. That's the market value of it. So there's an asset there which would be greater than the debt. So having a debt is neither here nor there. Jay, it doesn't matter. No one will buy anyone without the debt. It's about restructuring of the debt and then creating more income as you move forward, which services everything. So that's the way it is. James says Farhad is from Iran. They're not exactly squeaky clean.
Well, we're not going to sit and
it's not to do with
anybody. End of the day, as a fan, I just want someone who's got the money to back their ideas for the football club and the experience. We don't know anything about these people or the ethics behind it or details. So it's no point. There's no point sitting here and talking about it, getting into it. What's best?
That's literally what we're here.
Yeah.
To do.
So we're not going to sit here and talk about what's right and what's wrong.
Specifics as well, because we don't know specifics. Do we?
The thing with Farhad, regardless of where he's from, he's come in, he's made a lot of bad decisions and at times been a really bad owner. Yeah, we're building our stadium, which is going to elevate us and help us get to where we want to be, as long as everything else is done right. And that's great. That's one great, really good thing that he's done, and we're obviously really grateful for it. But he has been a bad owner most of the time in terms of what's happening on the football pitch.
He's been a bad owner.
He's made a lot of bad decisions.
Made bad decisions.
Yeah,
which is
and he'll say at times he's been a bad owner. But you take the bad with the good. At the moment, it's got nothing to do with where he's from or anything. So for me, it just comes down to how we ran as a football club. So I'm not even thinking about where these people are from or anything at the moment. So
Connor says Dell is not coming in. MSD is a private bank who's loaned to various clubs. Which is why Michael Dell was mentioned as coming in, because MSD is a separate thing to him. It's out there that he's interested in coming in as a minority owner. That's what's out there. I don't know whether that's right, wrong, indifferent, and none of us do. But that's been strengthened with George Down and Andy Bell's bid, isn't it? We'll see. I don't know, Connor. You might. Who knows? Ralphino says the revenue that the new stadium will bring cannot be understated. Look at Spurs. They went from 1 million on a match day to 6 million. Yeah, absolutely. Got to take the club forward. You've got to have, the commercial side of things is huge, and Everton need to get it right. Absolutely, they do. Connor says, call me a skeptic, but I was Bell and Downing with assets that collectively is barely double the Everton valuation, going to afford us without an extreme amount borrowed to the point of... Well, the borrowing against the stadium, was one report or so. Listen again, I don't know what Andy Bell and what George Downing's plans are for the football club, other than seeing something saying they're going to restructure the debt, which will help get that right down and make it more affordable. We'll see where we go from there. We obviously need owners who've got deep pockets as well. You can't, not so that you can just keep throwing money at it, because that's got Everton into a mess. You've got to have some sort of structure. You've got to know what you're doing. You have to buy low and sell high. That's the nature of it. We've seen reports today of Aston Villa having to raise £60 million quickly before they failed PSR, and they're a team that's just finishing the Champions League and everything that's going to bring this season. So
I think the way the Premier League is right now with PSR and everything, it's not the most appealing league to buy into if you're not experienced, deep-pocketed or well-researched. If you're just like half-assed, you're looking around and you're going, oh, why would I buy a club in that league? They're all getting like done with PSR because you can't spend money and all that stuff. These owners coming in, being linked with us, they would have to be well-researched, so they know, like, all right, we know what model we have to approach those so we don't get done. We know how to leverage debt, how to get around FFP and all that stuff, and they've got to have a bit of experience at running a business, obviously.
Well, yeah, the people who are interested have got all of that experience.
Yeah, because it's not like they're buying a pub that you can just put millions into and make it boss and be amazing. It's got to be really, you have to be done in a certain way or you get punished.
Gavin, I don't. MSD was thought to be restructuring Everton's debt, refinancing that debt to get it to a smaller, so the interest is cut on it so that the club makes money. That's what was reported. Again, until we know what's in place, it's difficult to kind of give you the ins and outs of it without fully knowing, because it's not being clarified. I think Paul Lieske wrote some stuff on it, has written some stuff on it. Go and check that out maybe and see if you've got stuff off him. There's other bits that he won't know about that are there, so obviously he's just guessing with that, like we all are right now. Benny says we need someone with huge money to come in and clear the debts. Yeah, that'd be the ideal thing. Toffee Boy says, can new owners pay off the debts out of their own pockets to comply with PSR? Well, they can clear the debts. The PSR stuff will eventually come down to what we bring. Well, it does come down to commercial income and player sales, really. The minute you come in and create more more revenue to spend. That's what it comes down to, doesn't it? What they can do is create some cash flow. Everton had more room in the budget last year, but couldn't spend because there was no cash flow. And obviously, you're giving yourself a year in between things in which to make that PSR difference up, aren't you? But what's rubbish about PSR is you're chasing the past all the time, which makes it unfair, really. So that's the real issue with it. Chris says with PSR, you can have all the money in the world, but if the club brings in peanuts, then you can't afford anything. Correct? Liam says, can someone tell me how a club who we are told has to sell a 50 million asset pre-July is even in conversation for a 30 million forward who scores less goals than the lad he's replacing pre-selling the 50 million asset? Well, the reality is Everton don't have to sell a 50 million plus asset, do they? Really. They have to create whatever the difference is, and we don't know what the difference is, Liam, because it's never put out there. If Everton could sell, I don't know, Neil Maupay and Michael Keane before the 30th of June, I'm sure they would, and I'm sure that'd right a few wrongs in the books, but because we don't know what the difference is between Everton's PSR thing, then what do you do? But as Pat says, the money would go on the book immediately and the others amortised over his contract. So your £30 million striker, as in Breuer, who you're talking about, was $6 million a year. That kind of thing. Hello to Juan, who says hello.
The problem for Everton is that finding buys for Michael Keane and Neil Maupay and Holgate and players like that is a lot harder than finding buys for Branthwaite and Onana. And it's players like Michael Keane and Maupay, because there's quite a few of them. You get them off your books, that helps massively. It's just really, really hard to shift. Michael Keane's been at the club for 6 years now. 7 years. And, you know, I imagine they've been trying to shift him for a few.
Oh, well, time just moves on, doesn't it? Time moves on. He's come to the end of his time at Everton. He's not getting in. He's not a first choice anymore. So, yeah, so that's where we are. Listen, we can talk about big owners, loads of money and all that, but it wouldn't really make that much difference other than it gives us cash flow. Over a period of time, it would help, of course it would. But until we improve everything around the football club, commercial deals, players, bring them in and sell them at profits and stuff, and then start finishing higher up the table anyway, we've got to make our income grow. Our income doesn't grow by having Q80 royal family with 600 billion to spend. Wouldn't make that much difference to Everton right now because the rules don't allow it to. Kessie says, is Branthwaite dropping from the England Euros squad gonna weaken his transfer market value? I
don't. Yes, because, well, if he went to the Euros and had a really good Euros, and the interest in him rose, then people will be more likely to meet what we value, whether it's 70, 80, 90 million. But without that, and maybe lack of interest, people think if they have to sell, there's only one or two clubs really putting offers in for them. So we'll just offer 50, 60. And at the moment, if you look at the clubs probably most interested, you look at Man United, they're not exactly, better off financially at the moment. They have to sell themselves. So they might only have that money that they value himself, that we value him, by the end of July, maybe, which is when the Euros, would be about finished. Well, would be finished. But obviously he's not going, so yeah, but it depends what position we're in also. We're not desperate to sell him under value, and we can get Onana and players like Michael Keane out the door as soon as possible. Then if nobody meets his value, then he doesn't have to go, does he? we'll have to let him go as long as he doesn't. If he's happy to stay and nobody meets his value, we're not desperate to sell him. Then it doesn't really matter.
John Boy Bleakley says, afternoon guys, I finally joined as a Premier member. Need to learn how to use it now. It's easy, mate, but thank you very much for joining. We much appreciate it. Stuart says we need new owners quickly. No, we do. We've got to get a grip on everything, Stuart, haven't we? Having outgoing on potential players, we have to get some money for them. We do. Poached Egg says Basley mine Ned just how dreadful Andre Onana is. We will do in the in M-Tag. I've got a couple of comments from Man United fans for you, but we'll do that later.
So I've got messages from Man United fans.
We'll do it later.
Saying dreadful is harsh.
That doesn't mean
he's had a bad season, but he's a good goalkeeper.
He's good. Toffee Boy says, what I mean is if they pay off the debt, there won't be interest. Now, it does create it, but it'll only create it in next year's budget, won't it? Benny says, yeah, get rid of the interest expenses. Same as effect of not having the income. Yeah, you're right. If we got rid of the interest, cut that right down and grew the commercial income immediately, that income, what we can spend, bumps right up, doesn't it? We're getting hammered from both ends, aren't we, really? That's where we are. And James says, if you pay off the debt, the interest we currently pay would have a massive uplift towards PSR and wouldn't come near that. Yeah. Mark Hansen says we need a top shelf CEO as well as an ambitious thinking boardroom and a decent owner.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Spot on.
Matty says the new stadium will be finished just after Christmas. Doesn't that mean a completed stadium lying empty for at least 6 months? It'll be finished before Christmas, and it does mean an empty stadium for 8 months before Everton are playing in it. So that to me never made sense. It still doesn't now. But without new owners and without the funding or what, I don't know, the club has made a decision that they think is the best. And they've got all the numbers, so we have to go with that, don't we? Ralphinho says I'd rather Onana go and worry about it next summer than Jared or Dom. Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? The club will know where they're up to. They need a bid. They need a bid, don't they? First.
It's crap that they're having to sell by June 30th. It really is crap. And I know other clubs choose on which date they have to sell by, or when it's, I think because Wolves' deadline was May the 30th for their finances, wasn't it? 19 clubs at June the 30th. I don't know if there's the same now, Wolves. When you fill your finances in,
Everton should just bin that, change the reporting area.
Yeah, but I just think it's a time where all the clubs are looking to sell the players. If all the clubs are in the same boat, I mean, it might help bring in bringing transfer fees down, but it's also a time where we're looking to sell Onana. We have to sell him on the cheap. I think that's a really, really good Euros. If we were allowed to hold on to him, we might get an extra 10, 20 million from him having a really good Euros, and that goes really far. But we sent him with Richarlison. I think we sold him far under value. Certainly what we valued him for. It's not like we made loads of profit on him.
No, we would have got another 10 to 15 million for Richarlison had we not been up against that clock.
Yeah.
We were up against it and we had to sell him. Spurs knew it, so our hand was massively weakened, but we would have definitely got another 10 million for him easily.
I mean, Toffee Boy says, can't change the monthly financial stats. I don't think you can choose like any month though, because 19 teams are all June 3rd.
I think you can choose your reporting period.
Can it be any month? Because there's only Wolves who were May the 30th, weren't they? Because they started at June. But
I think I got told yesterday Everton could still change it. Everton could move it back to the end of July if they wanted.
See, that makes more sense because that's
It should be really September.
Yeah. It should be end of August, shouldn't
January or September.
Yeah.
The first. And then you'd incorporate in the transfer window, then it's shut, isn't it?
Or just before the summer window opens.
I mean, John Blaine might be able to explain that better. John, if you're watching, or ask him on the WhatsApp, can they change it? Kezi says, much love from a newly graduated Everton fan for my gift. I want Carlo back. Congratulations on your graduation. We're not getting Carlo back. Born Mighty Blue says, all right, lads, bit random. Would love to see a video of your all-time Everton 11. We've done what me and Ped have done. our best ever Everton 11. Just search for it on our channel, YouTube channel, and it'll tell you. It'll bring it up for you, rather. Gavin says on Bramley-Moore Dock, is the rail seating going to raise the capacity at all?
It depends what.
It's the ratio.
It's the ratio of the seat to standing. If you have 10,000 seats, let's say, and the ratio's 1 to 2, one seat is 2 standing, then that becomes 20,000. Or if it's like 1 to 1.5, 10,000 becomes 15,000. It depends on the ratio, and I imagine it'll be.
It will get changed. It will get changed, but
even if it just gets up to 55, then it's better than 52, isn't it? It would have been nice if it was 60,000, to be honest, because I don't think there'd be many empty seats, if any. But
Sam McGuinness says 15 points, we'd still survive under Dyche. Take the charge, invest in the squad till it levels out.
I'd rather not take that risk, to be honest, Sam. I'd rather no points deducted.
Said we're never going to reach 115 charges, lol.
Yeah. Ironically, if we got 115 charges, that's so many that they probably just won't be asked. They'd be like, I can't be asked with that. We'll just kick the can down the road like they did with City. I'd just rather have no points deductions, so then we can get a real valuation of where we're at as a football team. But who knows? There's a lot of talk that we will be facing them a points deduction.
Richard, they could easily move the current season ticket holders in the mid-season, mate. They could do it, of course they could do it.
Did Tottenham move mid-season?
Well, towards the end of the season. We could do it. Of course they could do it. Bob says went to Liverpool last week with a credit card ready to buy some merch in Everton too. Was absolutely gutted with what was on offer. The Albert Dock souvenir shop had more things on offer. Things have to change. Yeah.
It's a bit, you know what? A lot of people say that.
Just not happy.
A lot of people. And when so many people say the same thing, I start to question whether...
Well, we'll see. Listen, we'll see. They need new owners to look at everything. Benny says, understand that once every 5 years a club can extend its company's accounting and PSR period at company's house from, say, June the 30th to July 31st. Watch out for a few clubs doing it this year. Interesting. I mean, it makes sense to have it at a, totally different place, really, in the year. January or December 31st to December 31st, maybe, or something, or at a moment in the year when both transfer windows are done. Makes more sense. Certainly not going through a transfer window.
I think it should be end of May, because you've just got your Premier League money, TV money,
but
and
then
it's before the transfer window
you've got to sell by the end of May. Surely getting both transfer windows out the way first will be better. So you could do like October the 1st or September the 30th or whatever.
But if you end of May, you have got both transfer windows out the end, and you just got your Premier League money. I'd rather do it before both windows, and you've had 2 windows rather than in the middle of a window.
Yeah, but with my way, you wouldn't be doing it in the middle of a window, would you? Both windows should be out.
Either with, I think it should be after or before.
Yeah, a lot of people saying thoughts with Alan's family. Thank you very much for all of those wishes. I do remember Home Farm, by the way, in Ireland. Everton Viking says, on the Dell thing, we don't truly know. There are contrasting reports, but Bell and Darling are well connected. They do have backing, but we don't know enough about any of them at the moment, do we? Be great to have like it's not for us and Farah to have that, but it would be great to have like a prospectus for each buyer, wouldn't it? But we're not the ones selling, sadly, so it doesn't matter. Graham says, all right, lads, maybe Texter came out big enough at Everton because he's trying to get out of Palace for a long time and being very vocal about Everton in the media gives him a platform. I don't know, maybe. Listen, everything is on the table. Everything is on the table, isn't it? Rich says, in my heart, I'd love Lifelong Blues to take it over, but history tells us it's not as easy as it sounds. Whoever gets in the door will get all our backing, and now we're talking about good businesses looking at us and experienced personnel. Yeah. Jay Ratcliffe says, so we could have Bell and Downing running the club. At Bramley Moor Dock, we might have Bell End and Downing Street.
Wonder what they will call the new stands.
Who knows? North, south, east, west, leave it at that. James said they listened to the Ash podcast. He reckoned Moshiri was only getting $1 million. Yeah, he was getting nothing really out of the 777 thing other than them taking it over, the running. And he was keeping some equity, apparently. John says, Farhad Moshiri will make the best decision for him. While that might be the best for Everton, it might not. If we can get a sovereign state involved, it might enable us to compete. Gareth says, back in England and the hard rehab begins. Was a nightmare getting to Bulgaria with mobility issues, but it was worth it. Swimming pool has aided recovery well and actually walked a little bit due to less weight burden on the legs. Good. Also put one of the 4 stone I lost while in hospital back on with the all-inclusive food and drink. Very good. Nice to see some genuine interest in Everton from people with real-life money rather than 777 and pyramid cash. Well in, Gareth. Well in.
Yeah, it's boss, that guy.
Great to hear you on the mend. Clive Long says the Dell Stadium. That seems like Southampton. Lions, he says, Baz, firstly, condolences to Alan's family and friends. We are always a team who sticks together, so you'll be sadly missed. And secondly, although I'm glad we have consortiums fighting over us, I think all we've ever wanted is people in charge who understand our club feelings and are not in it to pick us clean. We're a diamond in the rough and need shining up. Exactly, Lionsy. Curly says, "Are you lads good good day to you all? Are we going to be getting another points deduction this season?" A lad at work who's a Burnley fan says we're getting a 9-point deduction. Yeah, he's just talking nonsense. Burnley, really, they're in the dock. Mightn't even have a club in 12 months then.
Nobody
no one's Everton are getting any. If they get a points deduction, it'd probably be, I don't know, don't know. I don't know.
Nobody knows right
now.
No
one knows, but it's we're not getting 9 points and we're not bankrupt, and nor are we going bankrupt. So tell him he'll be lucky if he has a club in 12 months by what we're hearing about Burnley.
Just tell him complete lies. That's all he's telling you. Tell him Burnley are moving to... tell him Al Hilal have bought Burnley.
Sophie, there's a third hearing because of a charge on the interest. The accountants have written it, and accountants who know accountancy law have said, and have filled it in and said, yeah, that's how you do it, it's fine. And the Premier League don't like it because they wanted to make more of a fuss over it. And this is why Everton, in my opinion, shouldn't have just backed down from that other hearing. We should have gone to it, the appeal. They should have, only way they should have backed down was if they come up with a agreement with the Premier League for this other one to get rid of this charge. So, and they might have come up and gone, look, we've got to go to this thing because we've contested that, but you'll get no points from it. Who knows? RM says 52,000 too small for Bramley Moor Dock. It's a disgrace. Should have been 60,000 plus. As a non-season ticket holder, I'll be fuming if I can't get a ticket in the new ground. Yeah, well, we've said all along 52,888 was far too small. Should have been 55,000 minimum. Then have the safe stand and stuff on top of it.
I agree. And the fact that it's not even one of the... It's a big brand new stadium and it's the 10th biggest in the Premier League. It's a bit rubbish.
Toffee Boy says didn't sell in Gordon with 100% profit. It did help us, but we are paying for a stadium. Don't forget, we didn't take it. We didn't do what Spurs done. Spurs basically loaned huge amounts of money against their stadium and are just paying that back. We didn't do that. We've paid for the stadium ourselves, so to speak. Or Moshiri's put a huge amount of money in, or we've borrowed some money to pay for the next bit of it. If Everton would have done what Tottenham done, and they should have done really, but the world was a different place when we started it, we wouldn't be in this mess now, and we wouldn't have failed PSR. But we didn't. So, L-Tel says whoever gets the club long-term stability is the key. 100%. Ralphino says, do you think England can finally get over the line? Or is it another quarter-final disaster class?
Talk about it on MTAG. Because we will be talking about Gareth Southgate.
Apparently we will. There you go.
He's had a big interview today. Some big words.
Corin said, hello lads, just want a new owner that wants the best for Everton, and please can we get some players that are quick and some goals in the team, and a stress-free season, Baz. Fast players, goals, what are these? What is this wizardry you speak of? Hopefully all of that is comes through this season. Robbie says we should name it New Goodison. No. Goodison's Goodison, isn't it? Let's move on from that. Let us move on from that. Could he not? Would you name a stand the Goodison stand? Or doesn't it make sense? Doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
I'm happy with the East.
I'd rather sell off each stand to his sponsors.
Yeah, but then when it changes, next sponsor, you're changing it again.
I wouldn't be having the name of the stadium certainly anything to do with Goodison. It's about the future now and moving on. And Goodison should be left in the past. We've had great times.
Remembered in the past as well.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? That's our history.
Yeah,
isn't it?
But we need to move on. It's time to create new history and have better time, better than we've ever been. That's the aim. We don't want the 80s to be our most successful, period of Everton Football Club. We need to make new memories with a new name, new stadium, new team, new manager. So I wouldn't be calling it anything to do with Goodison.
New manager?
Yeah. I don't want Howard Ken. I don't want 100...
history with a new manager. I thought you meant a new stadium.
I don't want to get to 100 years and be looking back and going, Howard Kendall in the 1900s was the best manager.
Of course.
I want it to be like, it's 2020 and 2030. We had him in 2040.
Arteta. Jose Mourinho. Yeah, no, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But you're right. We can't always look back, can we? Buck says, just back home from the second holiday this year. Brilliant, mate. Good to hear positive things instead of stress, fuel, negative press. Everton has a big asset which will be worth $1 billion by the time it's finished and needs proper, intelligent owners who know how to run a successful business, which in a couple of years will be able to compete at the top table, the transfer market. Hopefully. Mark says Breuer is a strange one, not similar to Dom, so it wouldn't be a Dom replacement. We don't play wide forwards unless we're changing. Would he be a number 10? Who knows? Who knows even if he's even coming? That's what you've got to look at. Danny says Branthwaite is still a full England international. And you're absolutely right. He is a full England international. So that still means that still carries a premium on top of his fee, doesn't it? John says having owners with deep pockets enables improved commercial deals to be made. The contacts these people have facilitate the process. Absolutely, John. Gary says a successful Euro run would kick the hype train into overdrive, driving up the prices. No, of course it does. That's
absolutely
what is good. But Blue Keeley says, getting me through a stressful cook-off at work today.
A cook-off?
What's a cook-off? What's happening?
You don't know what a cook-off is? They're all having a cook-off.
As in the cooking?
Like the cooking?
No, I know, but I mean in what way?
Like MasterChef?
Well, that's what I mean. So in what way? Give us... I need, before we finish... I need more information. Blue Keeley, give me another message.
What are you cooking?
What are you cooking and what's it for?
Can I have some?
No, you can't. No. Oh. Jonathan says Moshiri needs to come to a decision by latest Friday. He's not going to do it that quickly, I don't imagine, mate. James says went last week to the shop downstairs. Went last week to the shop, only downstairs is open. Not much you can buy in there currently. That is atrocious, really, it is. Mark says, my condolences to Alan's family and friends at this time. Was in shock when you mentioned his passing early. Such a wonderful person, and he'll be surely missed. Absolutely. He was a tremendous fella.
Yeah.
Absolutely tremendous fella. Yeah, it is a shock. The last few now, we will of course be over on More Than a Game at 2 o'clock, so make sure you get over there. Hit this like, get these likes above 200 by the way, and make sure you're subscribing. Come on, the road to 100,000. Come on, we need to be started run down this road now, not just walking.
There is going to be a magical link at the end which will transport you.
You don't have to do anything, just leave it on.
Yeah, I'm just putting that in right now. We are going to be discussing Gareth Southgate's future.
There'll be other stuff.
Yeah.
Like Ned's just having us off here.
Course.
Casey says the Andy van der Meijden Stadium. Why not? No. Keith says name the stands after people, Dixie Dean, South Stand, etc. Don't know. Robbie says we call it the new Goodison Park. We won't have to change the fans' song lyrics.
The Mersey End.
Make the fans have to come up with new lyrics. I don't know. They're not going to call it New Goodison, are they? They're just not going to call it that, are they?
It's got to be 4 syllables.
Get down to Bramley Moor Dark. Benny says the club needs Onana to have a great Euros. He's a quality player, Benny. Watch him when he goes to a good side. Just watch him.
Who?
Amadou Onana.
Yeah.
No one that actually wants him to pass the ball.
Do you know how annoying it is when people just dismiss people from watching him a couple of times?
I'm quite sure Benny is an Everton. Well, I know he's an Evertonian who's watched Amadou a lot of times. Trev Icon says, best of luck with the new owner. We had over a decade of depressing seasons and finally we're out of it. Hope you get there too soon, fan. Cheers, mate. It's you know what it is, Trevor, and you'll know this. It's just the limbo bit, isn't it? If you've got an owner who's trying everything but they haven't got the money, or it's not, they just can't seem to get it right, you sympathise with that. But Mike Ashley did this with you, didn't he? Except the thing that Mike Ashley did, in a good way, and I'm very trying to be sensitive here to Newcastle fans because it was terrible for them, but he didn't run up big debts, did he? And Newcastle ran a tight ship and it did result in a couple of relegations, I get it. But what I mean is, he didn't saddle it with loads of debt where we've built a stadium, therefore run up debts. But it's when you're just hovering in that no man's land, which Newcastle did do. And obviously now they're ready to explode. We're at that bit where we're just hovering, waiting for this next thing. And it's so frustrating. But come on. Fingers crossed, but nice one, mate. Right. Like, Mark Allen is a friend of us. He was a Premier member. He designed our website. He was Luna Brandon, was Alan. Yeah, he was just a lovely man, and he's passed away, and it's a shock to us. That's it. Brian, where's Pedro? Pedro's off, mate. He's off on holiday at the moment, having a nice break, a well-earned break. He's having a break. Well earned. See the way there's a difference, isn't it? When I'm off, it's like throw darts at me and have a go and try to create this thing. And when Ped's off, I'm wishing him to have a nice little break.
You didn't help yourself.
I don't,
We were doing a live show and you sent us a picture of a pool saying playing water polo.
But that's it, mate. I was having the time of my life. Wasn't a cloud in the sky.
I haven't been on holiday since I was 15.
That's your...
24.
Hang on a sec. We took you to America.
Ped said that wasn't holiday, it was work.
Okay. I mean, if that's work, can I have your job?
No, I loved America, but just
if that's work,
just lie on a beach
I'll have
for
your
a week.
job.
Lie on a beach for a week.
Yeah. Right.
No one
listen,
will be me.
in 5 minutes, we will be doing everything else in football.
5 minutes.
Stay there. Don't go anywhere. There's 845 of you watching. We might do more on the takeover stuff on that channel. Just stay where you are. When it swaps over, like and subscribe to that channel as well. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you in a minute.
Come on, get down to More Than a Game. Woo!
Why are you the way you are?